Are you ready for a 100% objective, completely accurate, flawless ranking of every single character from every single version of the Sonic the Hedgehog canon? Well, sorry, you're probably gonna have to find another video for that. This is a tier list of my own opinion, which characters I like the most and why. I'll be covering all the primary characters from the mainline games, as well as some of the standouts from the IDW comics. Now, if you haven't read the IDW comics, one, I encourage you to do so. I really like them. But I will be keeping this video mostly story spoiler free. I might give backstory details, but I won't discuss any plot. And also, I did my best to order these characters chronologically in order of appearance all the way from the 90s to modern day. So once we actually get to the comic characters towards the end, you can just skip them if you want. Most of the video is about the game characters. Other than that, this was a ton of fun to put together, so relax, get ready for a chill time. Feel free to let me know down in the comments why my opinions are normie trash, and other than that, let's go. First up, we have Sonic himself, the Blue Blur. Sonic is so cool, man. It's been said that he coasted on his design for a while, and I don't think that's entirely accurate. He really does have a top-tier aesthetic, though. But his personality is really what makes me love him. He's a speedster, but he doesn't fall into that trope where speedsters have to be ADHD. He is a chill goofball who loves to relax and crack jokes. He just radiates this, jovial confidence, a lot like Spider-Man, actually, that is just so entertaining. And because he's so carefree, when he does get serious, I am locked in every time. Sonic is great. Best character in his own franchise, S tier, easy. Now, for a long time, I thought Eggman was more of a comedic relief than an actual threat. This is mostly because of the era of Colors, Lost Worlds, and Forces, but Eggman is legit scary. You really get a sense of this if you read the comics, Archie or IDW. He's actually really physically strong. In the rare instance where someone gets past his mechanical armors and vehicles, he'll just manhandle you. He'll just grab you. Or try and actually disintegrate you with his, laser pistol. He is strapped at all times. Eggman also has this ego that's really fun. Sonic is egotistical too, obviously, so they bounce off each other really well. But Eggman believes he is smarter than everyone and will regularly jump the gun and unleash crazy threats on the world. Chaos, Dark Gaia, etc. But it's all because he trusts his own genius to figure out a solution in the future. It's not often we get to see it, but when Eggman reflects on his family, Gerald, Maria, or most recently Sage, it's cool to see how he interprets the emotion of love through his vindictive and self-serving worldview. I like Eggman. I think he's a very good villain. I'm going to put him as a solid B tier. Next is Tails. I'm doing Sonic 2 before CD. If you think CD came first, I'm sure I will get an earful in the comments. Tails is a great contrast to Sonic, which is exactly what you want in a sidekick. Sonic is like a jock, Tails is a nerd, Sonic is confident and boastful, Tails is reserved, a little self-conscious, but at the same time, Tails is also a foil to Eggman. He's like the halfway point between the two. They're both geniuses, mechanics, they both always try and impress Sonic, but Tails is humble, where Eggman is proud, kind, where Eggman is cold-hearted, and it would be really easy to pit Sonic and Tails against each other because of their differences, but instead they lift each other up, right? They're not just friends, they're brothers. Tails is his little brother. They love spending time together, going on adventures, they appreciate each other's differences. I really like that. I love seeing that. The only problem I have with Tails is that he's fairly static. He doesn't really have a goal, you know? I'd like to see him get some more characters of his own to bounce off of, like Tails-centric ones. His relationship with Cosmo in Sonic X, if you've seen Sonic X, that is exactly what I mean. We need more of that in games, please. Just someone for Tails to bounce off of. Now we get to CD. Metal Sonic was Sonic's first real rival, and I think the one people tend to forget, unfortunately. He has such a cool, sleek design, and his mechanical drive to do nothing but defeat Sonic That's a ton of fun. He's like the Terminator, kind of. You know, he'll just keep following you. He just wants to stalk and kill, and it's awesome. I also really like some of the characterization that he gets in Sonic Heroes and in the comics. He's trapped within his singular purpose. He wants to beat Sonic, but he never can. Does he feel more than just, like, hatred? Is it jealousy? Does he want to be real? Does he want to be, like, an organic life form? Would finally defeating Sonic let him feel like he's valuable, even if he can never be real? That's cool. I would love to see him fight, like, Shadow or Knuckles more instead of just Sonic, but Metal is cool. I'm gonna put him in B tier. Now for Rosie the Rascal, Amy Rose. I'll be honest, I don't understand the Amy appeal. I'm sorry. She's just... Okay, I'll put it this way. Sonic is a carefree hero who likes adventure. Tails is a plucky mechanic with some self-esteem issues. Knuckles is the noble loner with a competitive streak. It's really easy to define those characters in one little elevator pitch, right? Like one short sentence. But Amy is, well, she's the boy-crazy young girl always chasing Sonic, but she's also the superstitious type, obsessed with her fortune cards, and she's also the kind, gentle soul that always acts with empathy. But she's also the hot-tempered one with a gigantic hammer, and she's the responsible leader of the people. She just has all these different conflicting personality traits, and if the Sonic series was like a long-running TV show or something, these layers of complexity might actually be a good thing. But because Sonic stories are so simple and short, Amy just feels aimless, like directionless. She's the token girl character, which is a shame because I really like a lot of the other female characters that get introduced later. But Amy, I don't get it. She's not for me. D tier. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. Knock, knock, it's Knuckles. Unlike Sonic, I don't chuckle. I'd rather flex my muscles. Knuckles. Knuckles is so cool, and I'm glad that people finally realize that. Sonic Movie 2 did so much work for his reputation, and then we got the awesome, incredible animation Deliverance from Sonic Frontiers. People remembered that Knuckles was, hey, actually cool. Who knew? The Boom TV series, which I actually really like, it's pretty funny, but that show portrayed Knuckles with an IQ of -46, like a total meathead. But that is not him. He was, in fact, naive when he was first introduced, and he's certainly not as smart as, like, Tails, but he's actually a very knowledgeable guy. He's a little socially awkward because he grew up alone on Angel Island, but he's a treasure hunter. He's got all this mythological and archaeological knowledge. He's an echidna warrior. He loves to fight, and he enjoys competition. He's the Muscle. He's the Lancer character to Sonic's protagonist. Their friendship is actually one of my favorites in the series. It's really clear how they would annoy each other, and they do, but then they grew past that, and they enjoy hanging out. Knuckles is cool. He's great. A tier. And now for a rough transition into 3D. I think I might have caused some PTSD with that one. We're going to talk about Tikal. She's the echidna from the Lost Tribes that tried to prevent the wars over the Master Emerald and eventually was responsible for sealing away Chaos before he could destroy the world. That's dope. She's got this Aztec-inspired design, like all the echidnas in that game, and her sort of pure maiden, noble priestess archetype, it slots in really well for how she serves as an exposition and a foil to some of our main characters in that game. I really want to see what Tikal and Knuckles would talk about, or even Tikal and Tails. That said, she's not anything amazing, but she serves her purpose in Sonic Adventure pretty well. C tier, I think. Next, we'll do Chaos. I feel basically the same as with Tikal. Chaos serves his purpose to the story of Adventure really well. He's this mutated Chow that just wanted to protect his kin, an emotional conduit for the emeralds, which is cool. He transforms based on his emotional state. I really dig that. And the fact that he's made of water, something Sonic is very much weak to, is a great way to establish him as a threat right out the gate. Perfect Chaos is probably still one of my favorite final bosses in the franchise too. That might be because of nostalgia, but that said, Chaos is really simple. I'm going to put him right next to Tikal in C tier. Oh boy, Big the Cat, Big T Cat. I'll keep this one short. Big is a comic relief character that was pretty annoying to play as in Adventure. I didn't mind him in Heroes. When he bounced, it was pretty funny. And every appearance after that, I've actually really liked. Fishing with Big in Frontiers was low-key my favorite part of that game. Big doesn't deserve better than D tier, honestly, but he's going at the top of it, I think. E102 Gamma. Gamma is crazy. He's really a testament to that old saying that the brightest stars burn out the fastest. His story was this wonderful journey of selfless determination, recognizing the inherent evil of his own nature, defeating all of his brothers, then releasing the flicky inside himself, and effectively dying. It was so bittersweet, and then he's never mentioned again. And not that he should be. He has a really good ending. B tier. Gamma has a really good story. B tier. Moving on to Sonic Adventure 2. You know how I started singing the Knuckles rap for Knuckles? Like 4 different songs popped into my head for Shadow. That is how you know this is a GOAT character. Just like how Knuckles got rehabilitated a few years ago, Shadow is in his resurgence era, and I could not be happier. Generations, Sonic Movie 3, the freaking Batman crossover. Anyway, Shadow is peak. His design somehow took the simplicity of Sonic's design and improved on it. He's so effortlessly cool. The red highlights, the air shoes, inhibitor rings. He just looks sick. And his backstory is on a completely other level from anything anyone else has in the Sonic series. Created with the DNA of an alien race to be the ultimate life form so he could be used to cure illnesses and save the world, and then Maria, his only friend, and the reason he was created in the first place, gets killed in front of him, and he becomes this vengeful monster, only to realize that Maria wanted him to protect the Earth. Kino, peak fiction, absolute cinema. What other Twitter buzzwords can I use here? I don't know. Shadow is the coolest, no contest, S tier. He is right up there with Sonic. After Shadow is Maria. Much like Chaos and Tikal, she's not in the series that much, but I really like her for the small part she is present. She's Shadow's best friend, sort of like his sister, consistently kind, despite the fact that she lives such a difficult life of both disease and isolation. I don't really think about that often, but she's a little kid up on the Space Colony Ark. The only people up there that she knows are her grandfather and this little mutant rat dude, right? Even when Gunn takes her life, she still wished the best for humanity, and that is wonderful. So, she's not in the series that much. I'm gonna keep her in C tier, I think. Rouge the Bat. I really like Rouge because she bridges the gap between so many characters. She is a thief and a treasure hunter, so she bounces off of Knuckles really well, and they have a great little flirtatious dynamic, but she also works as a criminal and government agent, putting her alongside Shadow and Eggman depending on the situation. She can act as sort of a bad influence on younger characters like Cream. She's like the fun wine aunt, but she's strategic and meticulous, which often pairs well with Tails' scientific genius. Rouge is a lot of fun. She's a lot like Catwoman, right? She's mostly good, but she'll definitely steal some stuff while saving the day. I like Rouge. Now, for the President of the United Federation. No, this is not Biden or Trump or Obama. I guess he was very, very loosely based on probably some amalgamation of Clinton and Bush. Whatever. He's barely a character, more of a plot device. I'll slot him in D tier instead of F, only because I know he keeps a picture of Sonic and Shadow on his desk, which is objectively one of the funniest facts in the entire franchise. Moving on, Eggman and Maria's grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, genuinely underrated as a character. He is this, like, wholesome and adventurous genius, travel all over the world, learning about ancient civilizations, but when his granddaughter contracts a deadly disease, he focuses his entire efforts on finding a cure. He's even desperate enough to make a deal with the terrifying Black Doom. Like, what? And when it all comes crashing down, he just snaps. He snaps. He vows to destroy all of humanity. In a lot of ways, he is a more moral and more evil version of Eggman wrapped up in one. And that is just so cool. I'm putting him at B tier. His final monologue is some seriously great stuff. I think that's worth B tier. Moving into the Heroes era, E123 Omega. Omega's fun. I like that he is as single-minded as Metal Sonic, but instead of Sonic, he wants to destroy all Eggman robots. He does have some growth. Part of him cares about Shadow and Rouge, but it's all secondary to his mission. His mission is most important. I gotta blow them up. He's got a cool design, though, and I always liked playing as him in Sonic Heroes, just because you got to shoot a bunch of guns and blow stuff up. Bottom of C tier feels appropriate. And for the Chaotix, Vector is easily my favorite of those three. I am a sucker for detective characters. They're my favorite archetype, and Vector is this big, loud goofball with a heart of gold. You know he'd do anything for his team. I really like Vector, probably more than he deserves. Yeah, probably a little bit. I'm slapping him up in B tier, believe it or not. Now, is this because I read that one chapter of the comics where he's implied to have a crush on Vanilla, and I kind of love the idea? Maybe. I don't know. Shut up. Moving on. Espio the Chameleon is alright. I know he's a ninja, but his personality is just done better in other places, I think. I like Knuckles more as the lone stoic type, and Shadow is like a cool, badass, hand-to-hand combatant type. So I feel like he's not really special just because he marries those two things. But his camouflage powers as a chameleon, those are cool. I like that he does scouting for the Chaotix and that he has like a strict warrior code. That's it. C tier. And then I don't like Charmy. He's mostly annoying. His voice is really grating in Heroes, and you need to play as him because he's the flying character. Of all of like the little kid characters in Sonic, he doesn't have a particularly like cute design either. I like that he's a little brother to Vector and Espio, but I only ever tolerate Charmy, so he's gonna go down here. On the opposite end of that spectrum, I think Cream is adorable. She's this little shining beacon of positivity and joy, and it is always sweet to see her interact with some of the edgier characters who usually act uncharacteristically protective of her. She's not like a super deep character or anything, but she's cute, and I like when she interacts with Amy, Knuckles, Rouge, Shadow, and Sonic. Speaking of Cream, I think she was introduced in the Advance games alongside her mother, Vanilla. And like I said, I think the budding romance between her and Vector is a lot of fun, but Vanilla's main appeal is that she's got this mom aura that is usually sweet and caring, but can become the scariest thing in the universe if you threaten her daughter or are acting as a bad influence. Any of you that have like a Hispanic mother probably know what I'm talking about. And that's nice to see in small doses, so I'll put her in C tier. Now for Emerald/Gemerald, the Gizoid robot from the Advance games. One of these, well, I say the Advance games, I believe he was from Sonic Battle first. Anyway, he's one of these Gizoids, and one of the Gizoids was actually in the Shadow Dark Beginnings animation. But Gemerald is the one that befriended Sonic & Co. after Eggman attempted to control him, and afterwards he decided to live with Cream and Vanilla and act as Cream's personal bodyguard. If you couldn't tell by now, I am a sucker for a robot that learns to feel emotions, so his protective older brother relationship, it's great. I love it. He's pretty formidable too, so it's always awesome when he shows up in a story to fight somebody. B tier. Moving on, Blaze the cat is such a well-designed character. I don't think most people recognize that. She's this alternate universe version of Sonic, and she's made to be this perfect inversion of him. Like, he is the wind, she is flame. He's brash and carefree, she's a reserved overthinker. Sonic is afraid of water, Blaze is afraid of heights. Sonic is a free adventurer, Blaze is honor-bound royalty. Sonic breakdances when he fights, Blaze does a ballet. She's just a really fun take on if you looked at Sonic through a kaleidoscope, how all of his traits would be altered. And on top of that, her fire powers are super cool. Burning Blaze as like a super form, sick. And as part of that, I really like that she has her own lore. She is a princess with this responsibility to protect the soul emeralds from her dimension. Blaze is cool. B tier, for sure. And just like Sonic needs Tails, Blaze has Marine the Raccoon. Marine isn't really anything interesting. Her role as a sidekick doesn't get explored very much. Even if it did, not much to say here. I don't know. She's going kind of low. I just don't have anything to say about her. Huge tonal shift moving into 2005. Black Doom. The big bad of Shadow the Hedgehog and sort of his father, kind of, or the source of his DNA at the very least. I think Black Doom is probably the dumbest, edgiest name they could have possibly thought up, and it is absolutely perfect. Giving Shadow an intrinsically evil origin that's far more definitively bad than his creator, Gerald Robotnik, I think that does wonders for his character, and makes him ask himself what he truly believes in and why. What is his purpose? Also, Black Doom's design, super over the top, creepy alien devil, floaty magic shaman guy. I really like it. C tier. Very serviceable villain. Shifting over to Sonic Riders, we have the Babylon Rogues. I'm gonna lump them together, Jet, Wave, and Storm. I don't really care for the Babylon Rogues. They're fine, I guess. I know they're a mirror of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and watching them bounce off our main trio is kind of fun. I don't know. Jet is annoying, Wave is kind of forgettable, and Storm is just like your stereotypical brute. These three never really clicked with me. And also, just like side tangent, are the Babylonians supposed to be aliens? It's like, are all of the birds on Earth descendant from Babylonians? Like, they're space travelers? It's very weird and confusing. I thought it was just gonna be like the Babylonians were from a place on Earth. They're from Babylon, obviously, these hanging gardens. But no, that's actually a spaceship. And they have, like, anti-gravity technology. It's confusing. It'd be cool if they ever explained that at some point in the future. But that is not earning these guys any points. Okay, now for everyone's favorite video game in history, Sonic 06. Starting with Princess Elise. Ooh, man, I do not like Elise. And I actually think the story of 06 has really good bones. I think a lot of people might agree with this. Like, if it wasn't the very first draft scribbled on the back of a napkin, I probably think, yeah, I think Sonic 06, the story could have been really good. The problem with Elise is her lesson is just to never be sad. If she's sad, just go for a jog and have a laugh and you'll be fine. She's way more of a plot device than a character. The idea of someone who, can't let themselves cry or they'll end the entire world, that's kind of interesting, but it's not executed with any subtlety or nuance, and, like, she doesn't have somewhere to progress from there. Also, I don't care if this is like a boomer take in the year of 2024 or whatever. Humans should not be kissing dead hedgehogs. That shit is nasty. And that interspecies romance was weird. Bad idea. Thankfully, the next character I actually really like. Silver. Probably a bit of a hot take here. Might ruffle some feathers. Silver is one of my favorite characters in the franchise. He has, A, such a cool design. B, his story, returning to the past to prevent a doomed future. That is awesome. C, his powers are unique. and wicked versatile. And D, top it all off, the way he thematically completes the trio of Sonic and Shadow, so dope, so dope. Shadow is the past, Sonic is the present, Silver is the future. I mean, come on. If I could get like one wish, Sega rehabilitated Knuckles in 2022 and Shadow in 2024. I think Silver is an awesome character that has never lived up to his potential. Can we get a year of Silver, please, soon? Maybe give him, like, sick new anime powers like they've been dishing out to Sonic and Shadow, featured in a big game, maybe a flashy animation, or better yet, show us a story and characters from his life in the future. Please. Please. My boy deserves it. For real. Anyway, I'm putting Silver up in A. I love Silver. Now, for everyone's favorite gamer, Memphis, Tennessee. Mephiles the Dark. I'll be honest, it has been super hype seeing Mephiles be recognized and brought back in recent Sonic stuff. Even if he's not that great of a villain, he was the only one that ever killed Sonic, so like that's a feather in his cap, I guess. But he's definitely cool, don't get me wrong. His weird crystalline structure in like a facsimile of Shadow's shape, he has no mouth and unblinking eyes. It's eerie, and it accents his like mastermind Machiavellian persona perfectly. I don't like him as much as, I don't know, Black Doom or Chaos, but I think Mephiles really skates by on aura alone. But that is enough to keep him in C tier, I think. Moving on to the actual best Sonic game of all time, I apologize how biased I am, Sonic Unleashed. We have Chip, or Light Gaia, as it's revealed eventually. I know some people don't like Chip, they think he's annoying. I never really found him grating, not like charmy. And I do buy his friendship with Sonic over the course of the game, to the point where I was pretty sad at the end when he had to say goodbye, and he leaves Sonic with his little necklace with that green jewel. That said, his shift at the end when he remembers that he's Light Gaia, this ancient, all-knowing god of the earth, I did not buy it. It was probably his voice, the fact that he kept his silly voice. There was such a disconnect there. And I don't really have any desire to see any more Chip, like in any future games. So he's gonna go kind of low for that reason, but I don't dislike him. And now for everyone's favorite, the OG, the VIP of the Sonic series, Professor Motherfucking Pickle. Obviously, he's S tier. I think the main question is, should I put him above just Shadow or above both Shadow and Sonic? But seriously, Pickle is the last plot-relevant human character introduced in the series, and I like him. He's goofy, very particular about his sandwiches, but he's also a great resource on the Dark Gaia issue. I like that he's a smart person who's more of a historian, scholar type than an engineer or chemist or whatever. That said, he's not, like, amazing or anything. I'll put him top of D, bottom of C. Yeah, actually, you know what? Professor Pickle, MVP, he's going in C tier. This one's a little weird. I think I'm going to do them as a combo. Yeah, I'm going to slot Orbot and Cubot together. I know Orbot debuted alone in Unleashed, but ever since Colors, the two have been an inseparable comedy duo with big quotation marks around the word comedy. I don't like these guys. They embody everything about 2010 Sonic that was so cheesy and unserious, and I never found them very funny. I think the fact that they don't appear at all in Frontiers should be a sign that they were a facet of an era that we are thankfully moving away from. I also have on here Yacker, the White Wisp. You could slot him out with any random flicky or little animal. He doesn't really talk. I guess Tails translates for him, but he doesn't really talk. I don't hate the Wisps. Calling him a character is a real stretch, so I'm putting him at the bottom because I barely consider him worth including on here. It's not hatred or anything. I don't dislike them. I feel absolutely nothing about Yacker. And in the same vein, we have Zavok and the rest of the Deadly Six. Look, I'm gonna put Zavok slightly higher than the rest because he has kind of a cool design and they made him fairly threatening in the comics. But the rest of the Deadly Six, they're going right in the garbage. First of all, the Zeti, not designed like Sonic characters. From like an art perspective, they have completely different design philosophies. They feel so weird and out of place. I hate it. On top of that, they are the most flat, boring placeholder archetypes ever. Oh, wow, the old wise master? Ooh, how cool. The big, fat, hungry one? Oh, wow. The girl? Wow, how'd you come up with that? I am falling asleep just trying to remember, like, any of their names. I know they all start with Z, but I can't, I don't know. Bottom, bad. And believe it or not, below even the Deadly Six, F tier filled out really fast, jeez. I am adding the Avatar from Forces. Besides the fact that he or she is an actual placeholder instead of a character, they're supposed to become Sonic's best friend by the end of that game, I guess? I don't know, it's stupid. Forces sucks. Go into the bin. Bottom, bad. Now, I will offer Forces apologists this, okay? There is one thing from Forces that I do like, or almost like. Infinite, okay? Here's the thing. I think they cooked with Infinite's design, and his theme song, unironically awesome. It's this overly edgy, over-the-top banger that adds like 50 aura points alone, and the concept behind his character is really good. He was this defeated, humiliated guy. He was defeated by Shadow, so he vowed to reject his old life and become something new, a symbol of fear. That is sick. That's like Batman Begins. And he's a villain? Oh my god, that is so cool. But the way the story was executed, he fought Shadow once and kind of lost, I guess. There were no stakes, no emotion, no pathos. We didn't get any insight into what he used to be like. Infinite is a character I hope they do something cool with in the future. Sort of like Silver. I think he has a ton of potential. But unlike Silver, what we've gotten so far does not warrant him getting placed very high. Maybe like top of D tier? No, you know what? I'm gonna put him under Big. Still near the top, but not as good as Big. Alright, we are shifting to the end of the 2010s now. I'm gonna start with the IDW characters. Let's see. I love their stuff. They're never humble. Ladies and gentlemen, it's rough and tumble. These two dorks are lackeys. Usually for Eggman, but sometimes for other villains. They're just, they're mostly comic relief, but I always enjoy when they show up in a story. Maybe they're getting beat up by Sonic or causing trouble for the Chaotix, but I always like them. I like that Tumble is self-conscious about his missing tail. That's funny. All in all, I really appreciate when they pop up, and I would love for them to appear in a game. Oh my god, they make such good mini-bosses. They're funny, the fight would be cool, they're perfect for it. C tier. C tier. Then we have Tangle, the Lemur, the first real addition to the main cast. Restoration member, Neo Diamond Cutter. She's just a totally lovable goofball. I really like her plucky energy. She's a fun addition to really any combination of the original characters. She's adventurous like Sonic, a little dense like Knuckles. She's got a goofy streak that's uniquely her own. Her tail stretching like 100 feet. It's this elastic appendage. It's a cool power. It reminds me of the Werehog's stretchy arms. I love Tangle. Easy B tier. Then we have Whisper, the quiet sniper with an all-purpose Wispin. I really like the Wispin. It can be like a hammer or an umbrella or a flamethrower. It's a fun gimmick for a character and a smart use of the wisps in world building, and I really like how they follow her around. They're like her little buddies. As for Whisper herself, she's got this tragic backstory, and she's a broken person that pushes people away. She learns to open up. I don't know. Her character never really resonated with me all that much. I'd much rather have Tangle on an adventure than Whisper, but I do like her. We'll do C tier. Okay, time for a true genius. Dr. Starline. I think Starline is great. He gives Eggman a sidekick and a superfan, but he also goes on to question Eggman's genius. I think it was a great way to emphasize Eggman's ego. And Starline himself is actually a really capable villain on his own. First he has the Warp Topaz, then the Tricore. I originally thought he would be a total pushover, but he was seriously menacing and dangerous by the end of his story. And don't even get me started on Surge and Kit. Starline was legit evil and a great original villain. Also, one of the very rare instances where a male character actually wears clothing and he's kind of dripped out. I like it. I'm going to put him in B tier, right about here. On to another villain, Mimic. And no, not the FNAF character, Mimic the Octopus. I really like his copy power. It is a real thing octopi and squids can do, change their appearance to fit in with the environment. And it's different from Espio's camouflage. It is such a good ability for a villain, super useful for thievery, assassinations, anything like that. I like his backstory with the diamond cutters, but he hasn't been really that interesting, despite how important he's been for a few arcs. I'll drop him near the bottom of C. Mimic is fun, but nothing special. Belle the Tinkerer. Let me just say, I put together who Belle was very quickly. I know her origin is this big reveal, or it's supposed to be. I won't spoil anything, but at the moment, unless something big happens and we get to see her interact more with you-know-who, I don't really care about her other interactions in the story. She's one of the rare misses in terms of IDW character design, too. She's supposed to be cute, but I think she's just kind of creepy. I don't dislike Belle, but we've got a lot of robot characters, and her one defining trait hasn't been giving any room to develop, so bottom of C tier. Oh yeah, here we go. Surge. Surge the Tenric is the best thing to come out of the IDW comics by far. She's going in A tier, right off the bat. She is this gnarly, punk rock, electric, speedster, and brawler, hell-bent on killing Sonic above all else. That alone would be enough to make her a great character, but she's also crafty and has this ridiculous grit and survival instinct, and her backstory is so tragic. She's definitely a bad person, but you totally buy into it. You feel so sorry for her, to the point where I almost found myself rooting for Surge to beat Sonic while I read Volume 50. She has this search for identity, this ideological battle, this journey that she's going on, trying to combat all of the brainwashing and finally find freedom to come to her own conclusions on how life works. And her reaction when people see her as a hero for the first time, masterful. She's the mean green. What else do I need to say? Surge is great. And then, of course, we have Surge's own little buddy, Drippy, Kitsunami the Fennec. Kit is such a cool inversion of Tails, man. He is underrated, I think. Where Tails has a mutually supportive relationship with Sonic, Kit has this toxic, almost worship of Surge. And while Tails is cute, Kit is actively creepy, legit haunting sometimes. His piercing red eyes and the swarm of watery tentacles looming over him. Ooh. Just like Surge, I'm totally invested, and I really want to see him grow and find a better place. I'll put Kit B tier. Yeah, I'm putting him in B tier. Shifting back from the comics to the games, we have one major character introduced in Frontiers, Sage. I think Sage is exactly what Eggman needed as a character, and as a person. Sage is his daughter, his first truly sentient creation, far more advanced than Metal Sonic or any of the E-Series robots. Sage has complex thoughts and emotions, and even though she's fully on board with Eggman's world conquering, she still likes and respects Sonic. She has a heart, and unlike Starline or anyone else Eggman could just potentially team up with, he won't hand-wave her away if she disagrees with him, because he loves her, even if he doesn't exactly understand it as love, and that is awesome. That gives us a lot of new ways to look at Eggman. That will, if done right, give us some depth and some new paths to take in the future for that character. As for Sage herself, she seems much easier to reason with. I would love to see her talk with Shadow or even Silver and hear her rationalizations for supporting her father. Sage is cool. She's adorable, and she's voiced by Rei from Evangelion. High B tier, definitely. Jumping to another game, arguably the best in the franchise, we have Barry the Quokka, the player character from The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, unfortunately, this video is running a little long. I don't have all day to dissect the intricacies of his complex pathos and characterization, all the allusions to Nietzsche and Dostoevsky in his dialogue, or any of the philosophical themes Barry presents to the player. You know, the existence of true evil, the transient nature of the mortal soul. Barry is just far too multifaceted to unpack here. He probably deserves his own video, which would be at least 2 hours long. But if I had to parse it way down, Barry has the potential to be S tier. If the sequels ever decide to expound upon the storyline of his father's political assassination and the way that subsequent fallout altered his faith in the concept of democracy, you know, his shift towards a Randian morality and the consequences of that, until we see any of that followed up on, I really like how he always wants to look in the trash can for clues. C tier. That's it. Stay frosty.